Democracy is dead. Let's celebrate by building aeroplanes. Oh man, we're going to be down to 10% stability after this. Smuggled aboard a small fishing ship and with the assistance of his aides, the old sultan has escaped the tightening grip executed by the Nationalist on the capital. By losing this significant asset, chaos is starting to spread through the ranks of the plotters, as fears of organised loyalist resistance in the hinterland of Anatolia are likely to torpedo the entire operation. Other members of the royal family have been detained in their villas and palaces for the time being, whilst dedicated nationalist elements have been tasked with finding the sultan no matter the cost. Second in line to the throne and hero of the Welsh Creek, Osman Ford Effendi, has been seemingly also escaped the capital, which will likely further complicate the attempted coup. Throughout the Mashriq, little action is being performed at all, as all wait tentatively for a decisive winner in the struggle through a variety of Islamist adherents have expressed their anger towards the imprisonment of the Sultan Caliph. Bring me Abdul Masih II. Now! No, we're still the democratic government. It's good that he's escaped. Run! Fly, fly, fly! Chief Rabbi Haim Ishaq Saki denounces the MOJ. Usually not an easy man to react to political developments within the empire, the chief rabbi of Constantinople, or Hakim Bashi, has decided to openly proclaim his support for the Ottoman government and their attempts to reintegrate the Palestinian region. Referencing the long and mutually cooperative history of the Jews within the Ottoman system, he has attacked the Zionists, whose primary European mindsets have no idea of the damage they're inflicting on the relations between the Muslims and Jews in the Orient. Support from the rabbis in Yemen, Baghdad and Tripolitania has arrived at the Haham Bashik, the chief rabbinate in the capital, as they too experience increasing anti-Jewish attacks caused by the agitated Muslim population of the empire. Although the words are unlikely to have any effect on the policy in the region, it's the last in a long line of desperate attempts to de-escalate tensions. Grateful for your support. Freedom dies to thunderous applause. Or a coup. General strike in Palestine, organised by the various Arab national committees. A general strike of all the Arabs engaged in labour, transport and shopkeeping have been called to force the departure of the international forces, listing their demands as prohibition on all Jewish immigration now and in the future, prohibition of the transfer of territory from the Arabs to the Jews, immediate withdrawal of the international gendarmerie. A vast portion of the Arab population is primed to partake in the action, encouraged by religious leaders and influential families. The council has already reported that it will crack down heavily on any attempts to force its departure, and gendarmerie forces have already been sent into Jaffa to arrest possible ringleaders of the strike. May Allah bless their efforts. No, we didn't shoot Ataturk, we just voted him out of office. But the Sultan's son survived. Which is good for us, because he was the one that liberated the Ottomans, charging into the palace on a horse wielding a saber. I remember that from the previous rework. Increasing Jewish migration and decrease in resources after the American forces pulled out last year has caused violence to erupt once more in the MOJ, leading to the deaths of multiple dozen Arabs in peacekeeping and strike-breaking actions. Our government has, in response, increased its calls for the abolition of the entity, pointing out that only Ottoman rule can end the crisis peacefully. Various Jewish groups across the empire are also calling on the Sultan to take a more decisive stance towards the MOJ, as they fear retaliation by the Arab brethren as the actions by the Imperial Gendarmerie. We gain war support and we lose political power. Osman Ford gathers his forces. Fleeing to nearby Bursa, the royal prince has started to gather his troops in preparation for the liberation of the capital. Benefiting from the prestige that accompanies the House of Osman and his valiant actions during the Welsh Creek, the popular prince is quickly assembling a force to bring the fight to the Nationalists. Over in the capital, uncertainty and desertion is spreading, as none were expecting a drawn-out struggle and were hoping to execute a quick and decisive coup. This wasn't the plan. No, it really wasn't. Again. We're the Democrats. Stop pretending that we're not. The Damocles Project. German spies have recently uncovered the papers of a research and development program sponsored by the members of the Third Internationale. Dubbed the Damocles Project, it is an extensive multi-nation study in the destructive power of nuclear fission with the intent of creating bombs with a destructiveness vastly greater than anything now known. The famous German physicist Albert Einstein was previously warned that a successful nuclear bomb might even be able to turn entire cities into ash. German intelligence agencies have shared the information about this project with their strongest allies, so naturally the whole world now knows. Some have dismissed the project as a childish fantasy, but many experts fear a breakthrough. Also, I totally forgot that we had troops over here. Go. In fact, no, don't go. Go there. Then go. Although actually we can cut them off here. Yeah, that'll do. And then over here, you're actually attacking out of Madrid, which is a bit of a mistake. Although they have actually taken the adjacencies, which is annoying. Society for the Defense of Palestine forms. Fostered by General Taha al-Rashimi, brother of the Baghdadi Wali Yassin al-Hamimi, the Society for the Defense of Palestine was formed earlier this week, primarily created to collect donations for the Arab Mujahideen fighting in Palestine. They are, however, an important conduit for Arab nationalism as a direct action from the government against the MOJ remains absent. Nonetheless, taking action against the group may be dangerous, as the family connection between its founder and the Baghdadi Wali and war hero Yassin could lead to unfortunate consequences if not handled carefully. So we can shut down the SDP, or we can not interfere. I'll just call this the SDP. Can't be bothered to type the whole thing out. So we can shut it down, or we can refrain from interfering. And vote. What does this most democratic of institutions decide? And yes, we are at 1% stability, which is actually lower than we ever were at like the darkest hours of Ataturk's government. And it got pretty low during that too. Well, I guess it really can't get much worse. I mean, it could. It could go to 0. Whether that's much worse is another matter. Okay, so 24% of you said that we should refrain, whereas 76 want to shut it down. So we're going to shut it down. Baghdad unrest will decrease. We do gain we do lose a bunch of political power. We are now negative. So now we definitely can't win the next election. Not that we could anyway, because there's no way that we're going to get the Conservatives on side. In fact, considering how much the Conservatives hate us, we could get the Arab Nationalists on our side. Oh, they already are. Like, fully. The Turkish Nationalists hate us. The Independents are more or less 50-50. The Arab Nationalists are fully on side. And the Conservatives are like 60-40, 70-40, 70-30. 35, 65. That's probably more like it. Fortunately, this is just hills, but we should be able to hold there. Osman Ford marches on Constantinople. Backed by a variety of loyalist divisions from western and central Anatolia, the warrior prince has finally made his move. Taking position on the eastern side of the Bosporus, an ultimatum was sent earlier today to Field Marshal Fevzi Pasha to lay down his arms and disband his forces. Outnumbered, outgunned, outclassed, and with no chance of victory, the marshal accepted at 5:26. A German submarine patrolling the Black Sea would ultimately prevent the capture of all the officers associated with the coup. As though this channel they were able to flee to the Kaiserreich. Demands for their extradition have promptly been issued to the German government and have thus far remained unanswered. This was Germany's fault? So Fevzi Pasha is no longer a field marshal. We have the restoration of the FIV cabinet and we gain 20 stability. It's the same guy that saved the Ottomans as last time. And we lost the super defensive marshal, right? Yeah, the old guard guy. The guy I did not trust at all was the guy who was causing all of this. Okay, so we need to promote a new field marshal, is basically what this is telling me. Who do we go for? Who was the heir? It was Farouk. Is it this guy? He is a war hero. Jaunty Fez guy. It is that guy. Ford, not Farouk. Yeah, I don't think that he's a possible general, unfortunately. Oh no, it's him! Osman Ford. So it's the current awesome field marshal. Yeah, okay. So who do we want as our second marshal? I mean, we don't necessarily even need one. Although it would be nice to have one kind of in training. Kazim Pasha is a war hero. And an infantry general. He also has really good planning, which is generally the stat that I look for in field marshals. Planning and supply. You have the experience gain reduction. Career officer, war hero. Fayrullah Pasha would be quite good too. So would Semil Kahit Pasha. War hero general. Infantry leader. I mean, having the infantry commander is quite a good idea. I'm actually really tempted by this guy because we can just train him from scratch. And he's an infantry officer, so he'll gain that experience very quickly. Or we could get someone who's already an engineer, which would basically mean... Oh no, it's not engineer, it's trickster. Trickster leads to improv expert. And then the one that I really like is organizer. If we had someone who was an organizer, I'd be like instantly that guy, but I don't think we have any organizers. Just engineers and fortress busters. Oh, Tussin is actually an armor officer. Okay, that's interesting. Omer is Old Guard and level 4. Good for a marshal. Not really. Old Guard is actually really bad because I like my marshals to actually gain experience. And that minus 25 on a character who gains experience really slowly anyway, not a good combo. Yeah, I actually quite like letting chat decide. So we can have... Who are the ones that I was saying are basically candidates here? Mehmet Kazim Pasha is one. He's actually the best planner. And he's also an infantry expert. And he starts as an engineer. So we've got Mehmet. Oops. New marshal. So we had Mehmet Kazim Pasha. And this is probably going to be the commander of the infantry forces. So it makes sense. And then the other choice was Hayrullah, who is completely fresh, so we can basically form him in any direction that we want. And then the other choice was Mustafa Mughlai Pasha, who's already a mountaineer, so he can go towards adaptive. Or Semil Kahit Pasha, who's just a super good all-rounder infantry commander. Yeah, I think you're better as an infantry, or as a general, rather than a marshal. You don't have the planning. So we'll put those two in the running as well. So we've got our veteran, which is Mustafa. And then we've also got Semil Kahit Pasha, who's just the highest level. So he's going to have more slots to use. So again, rundown. In fact, I'm going to remove the Pasha from all of them because we know what Pasha means. And I'm just going to put a little indicator next to each one. So we've got Mehmet, who is the planner. We've got Hayrullah, who is inexperienced. So we can train him in any direction, basically. We've got Mustafa, who was the mountaineer, so he's more likely to get adaptable. And then we've got Kahit, who was the highest level. So he's the most senior of these guys. Okay, and vote. Get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Just call Kamal and tell him that he can go back to doing military stuff. Yeah. Organizer, the legendary rare trait that never develops. Yeah, so useful. You know, I've been looking forward to this stream. Kaiserreich and Mordred streaming is a good evening show. I'm glad you think so. Anyway, get the vote in. Do we want Mehmet Kazim, Hayrullah, Mustafa Megali, or Semil Kahit as the new Field Marshal of the Ottoman Empire? Do we want the planner, the new guy, the mountaineer, or the highest rank? Did I accidentally make this a 2-minute vote? I have a feeling I may have. Whoops. And you know what else is amazing? Osman Ford saved the Ottoman Empire from America. He's currently, like, leading the charge on Houston while also saving Constantinople. Now that is good ability. I was wondering if he was the Spanish one or the American Field Marshal. I couldn't remember. Who is Serbia at war with? Austria. Looks like the PSA has an uprising in... Oh, yeah, they do. Nice. That's actually really good, because that gives us a back door into the East Coast, which is where all the industry is. Okay, so we have a choice made. Byzantine contributed 2,000 channel points. Thank you very much for that. Mustafa Megali, the Mountaineer, unfortunately came in last, despite his able leadership of the Mountaineers. Semil Kahit came in with an 11% selection, which was the most senior of our leaders. Mehmet Kazim, the planner, with 32%, but Hayrullah, the new guy that we can basically train up from scratch, has been the one chosen. He's also the cheapest, so that's a good thing. He only costs 7.5 command points to promote. So that is the new Field Marshal that we're going to bring in, and he is going to be in command of Mountaineers, who are infantry. Now, he's going to be effectively a 000 commander because he's recently promoted, but that goes away after 100 days. The Spanish one did the coup and the USA saved us. Yeah. Arab desperados leave for Palestine. Coming up with the Ottoman army stationed in Iraq and Syria, a small group of volunteers and desperados deserted the force to join the Palestinian guerrilla movement. Presumably led by Fawzi al-Kuji, an Ottoman officer of Syrian descent, the group is reported to be well armed and receiving covert support from the Walis of Mashriq. Haifa unrest increases, we gain war support. Guatemala declared war on Nicaragua. Restoration of the HIF cabinet. With the military threat dealt with, the cabinet of Prince Sabahattin has been reinstated in Constantinople and Parliament has reopened. A variety of Turkish nationalist parties and deputies held responsible for the failed coup have been disbanded and arrested. The position of the HIF, strengthened by the defeat of their opponents in the field of battle, has now never been stronger, as many opposed to their programs are now remaining silent to avoid persecution, arrest and possibly even death. OHF deputies will be distributed amongst the other parties. Authoritarian democracy loses 20% and we gain stability. Whoa! Suddenly we have more than half again. As the OHF has been completely disbanded. Like I said, comeback is coming. Comeback is coming. Interesting. Now, unfortunately, wasn't the Conservatives. We can get 60 nationalists to join and 60 Arab nationalists to join the opposition. The Turkish nationalist has a huge number of deputies now. Thankfully, the Conservatives didn't gain any. It was almost entirely Turkish nationalists that grew. Which might actually be a good thing, because I think we can increase relations in the Turkish nationalist area. Yeah, we can. We just can't afford it right now. Okay, so we just need the political power. We still have more than a year before the election, so we have time. Bharatiya Commune declared war on the Dominion of India. Now we can send support to India. And now I am definitely anti-German. Them supporting that coup like that? That's outrageous. I'm going to go with one of the guys who has not yet got much experience. So who do we want to have training up here? Probably an engineer. I think Asim Pasha. What's the deadline for this mod? I'm not sure what you mean, Santiago. Oh, I shouldn't have signed him yet. That was a mistake. Oh well. Send volunteers. We're going to send Asim Pasha. We'll send air volunteers as well, though I don't know for sure if I'll actually send any. Actually, speaking of air volunteers, did I ever do that? Yeah, we did. Well done, old school, or past Mordred. So we have volunteers now on the way. Oh, what's the end date? I mean, there is a kind of a soft end date rather than a hard one. You know what? I actually kind of prefer the idea of you going here. And please do. Creation of the Savu Sultan Selim Association. Based around the illustrious Sultan Selim I, who conquered the entire Mamluk Sultanate in the early 16th century, Turkish and Arab intellectuals have come together to press the Sultan for a resolution of the Palestinian crisis. Organising debates, political fora, and teaching local Arabs the ties binding the Turks and the Arabs together over the last few centuries, a large focus is placed on teaching about the history of the Ottoman Palestine and the prosperity it encountered under the wing of the Caliph. Some have, however, discredited the association, calling it propaganda of the Constantinople government, who is finding it harder and harder by the day to find support in the Ottomanist ideology. Foreign observers, in the meanwhile, call it a stunt by the Grand Vizier to increase support amongst the population for military intervention in the region. Gods, we were strong back then. We could even strike for New Orleans. I mean, why not? No, don't stop. Dude. Ah, you moron! Damn it, now I'm going to be losing the attack bonus because I had to do this myself because he decided, you know what? Times have changed. Muscat declared. Dude, I'm guaranteeing you. This is not how guarantees work. Muscat to Mordred. Leroy Jenkins. Just guarantee I can't intervene. Long divided into two distinct political entities, the Imamate of Oman and Niwa and the Sultanate of Muscat and Muscat, the ever-increasing weakness of the former Thessalocracy has not gone unnoticed by the Emir Najid, who is planning to divide and conquer, invaded the isolated... Yeah, see, this is describing it as a Saudi invasion. Imamate of the most questionable border dispute. Although the Sultanate of Muscat, supported by foreign allies, has been able to escape a direct threat to its independence, it's nevertheless decided to interfere in the conflict, rallying together with the Imam against the shared Saudi threat. Can Muscat really take another hit? Not like this, they can't. They started the war. You're a moron. They literally have 2 divisions. That's no way. I don't think I'd even get there in time. Damn it. This would have been a great opportunity to take out Saudi. All of my political machinations failed because of the morons in Muscat. Constituting the northern part of what could be called the Ottoman Palestine, the province of Haifa has long served as an economic centre point for the region. With the demarcation of the MOJ borders in 1920, based on an arbitrary position of the front lines at the time, much of the economic connections between the north and the south were disrupted. The growing Jewish community in the region was largely displaced following the months of great anger of both the Jews and the Arabs alike. As tensions continue to rise in the MOJ, so have the Palestinian Arabs in Haifa taken to the streets in support of the Southern Brethren, calling upon the Caliph to protect Islam from this foreign invasion, to reunite Palestine and to make a stand against the imperial encroachment. Thousands are marching down the city's narrowest streets. Haifa unrest increases. The Morons of Muscat sounds like a bad Doctor Who episode. And so it should! Ah! Morons! Undisputedly. Can you attack them to stop them reinforcing, please? Because if they reinforce this, then I can't do anything. Nah, that's over. Alright, let's just do Operation Cutoff. Shandong joins northern Jili. The Ashbal al-Urba. Further developments have occurred in the Syrian political capital of Damascus, where to the example of many nationalist movements of Europe, the League of National Action has given rise to their own militia. Called the Ashban al-Urba, they say that they've been inspired by the European armies and are wearing green shirts, parading through the streets of Damascus, unarmed, so as not to give the gendarmerie an excuse to intervene. The militia promises to create a 3-dimensional men out of the Syrian youth, excelling in martial arts, politics, mathematics, politics, and poetry. Most disturbing. Oh, Indian forces have just arrived. And I think what I might do here... This is only against Baratia, right? Yeah. Right? Yes. You may attack as soon as you arrive.
İntikal ediyoruz. Haydi.